Good evening, friends. We are recording this show on the day after Veterans Day, and we would like to remember our veterans here on the magnificent job they did and the great sacrifices they endured for all of us. In coming weeks, Dwayne and I will do a show primarily on World War II and the Holocaust. So we will talk more about that, as I say, in a month or two. Tonight, we've got lots to talk about, so here we go. And I've got about 5 outrages. Do you mind me being outraged?
I'd be surprised if you weren't.
Well, here's the outrage of the year, my friends. Here are the words of Virginia Democrat Mike Dickinson on his Dickinson for Congress Twitter feed in early September. Let us pray again today for Ebola to infect and eradicate all members of the Looney Tune fringe movement called the NRA.
Goodbye.
Do you have anything to say to that?
You're in trouble.
This is outrageous. Now,
It's stupid.
he pulled the Twitter shortly thereafter, but not before quite a few people had.
Yeah, there's no sense to these people.
I mean, who would do something like that?
Well, you know, there's a precedent with that. There was the church that used to protest at the veterans' funerals.
Oh, yeah.
Westboro, Northboro Church was. It wasn't from here. It was out Midwest someplace.
Yeah.
But they were the same Looney Tune group like this.
That ended, though, rather quickly when the lads with the motorcycles, the Vietnam vets, got involved. That was about the end of those protests.
Yeah, you haven't heard from them.
No.
That's ridiculous.
This is ridiculous.
That's
absolutely ridiculous. Even more ridiculous, if I can possibly get more ridiculous. This fellow came out of the woodwork here. Well, his quotes came out of the woodwork a couple of days ago. Jonathan Gruber, and he is quoted as being the architect of Obamacare. And he said he talks about the lack of transparency was designed to dupe a gullible American public. This bill was written in a tortured way to make sure the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. So it's written to do that, Gruber said, suggesting it would not have passed if the law made it explicit that healthy people would pay in and the sick would get money. Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage, Gruber continued. Call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever, but basically that was really, really critical to get the thing to pass. I wish we could make it all transparent, but I'd rather have this law than not. He appeared on television today.
okay. I missed him.
Backed up quite a bit
That's
from all of this. But he said, I made those remarks in an academic setting. I didn't make that for public dispersal.
I don't know what's the difference.
I don't know either. But boy, I'll tell you something. That is outrageous behavior.
Well, it's smoke and mirrors again.
Yeah, again, you're right.
That's what it is. And you can't. All administrations have had smoke and mirrors, but some of them, the present one, are experts at it.
They sure are. And here's a little more smoke and mirrors here. Our department, the commissioner of the Department of Public Health, Cheryl Bartlett, is leaving her post shortly. And she said that they asked her about the hospitals and how many Ebola patients they can handle. Of the 6 Bay State hospitals that have been identified yesterday by public health officials as landing spots for possible Ebola cases, only 2 have said how many they could handle. And each of the 2 hospitals said they could handle 2 people each.
Yeah.
The other 4 really haven't been able to come up with a number that they can handle yet. So they asked her some questions, and she said when asked when she is anticipating that soon the other hospitals will report in on how many they can handle, she said, I can't really answer that question. I don't know. And so the reporter said if she knew how many patients the hospitals were prepared for again, she said, I don't think they pick a particular number. I can't say. I haven't been in the actual drill myself.
Well, who else should be but her?
You know, how come Governor Patrick's very qualified appointees have trouble answering questions, you know, any more difficult than what's 2 plus 2?
Yeah, his has a dismal record on
Yeah,
appointings.
it's just like, get away from me with that. You know, that's minutia. By the way, that's another thing that the governor was always good at saying, oh, that's minutia,
Yeah.
you know. Nancy Pelosi was quoted back in September as saying,
I did read that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what.
civilization as we know it today would be in jeopardy if the Republicans win the Senate.
Good luck.
After that, there was cries for her to apologize, and she refused to do it. Interesting, we picked up another seat, the Republicans picked up another seat today when the results in Alaska
Oh, that did
were...
come in?
Yeah, that came
I
in,
didn't see
and he won by a very handy total. Yeah, they counted all of the mail-in ballots and some absentees, and I guess that's the same thing. But anyway, nothing changed. So he and I think it was 8,000 to 9,000.
But you know, in these kind of cases, if it was anything, if somebody else would say it, she would have been going crazy.
Oh yeah,
She'd have just been going absolutely nuts, ballistic.
yeah. You can't say that about us Democrats, you know. And she would have. Well, it probably would have been a lynching. Oh, who knows?
It's time for her to go.
Now, sir, I got a hot potato for you.
All right, let's see it.
The nurse from Maine. You're not going to quarantine me. Doesn't matter.
That attitude was a little scary.
Yeah. Seems to me that that is a very, very selfish attitude. She said, she paused to make a few critical observations. And we should understand that the court is fully aware of the misconceptions. Well, this was the judge. The judge said basically that the court's fully aware of the misconceptions, misinformation, bad science, and bad information being spread from shore to shore in our country with respect to Ebola. But the court is fully aware that people are acting out of fear and that this fear is not entirely rational. Put another way, widespread fear will not completely trump the rights of the individuals who have proven they are not presently dangerous. But she never proved she wasn't dangerous. You have to wait 21 days for that.
Right.
But
I was afraid of that's going to happen.
yeah,
And it happened quick. It happened early in a case like this. But if we had several or say many quarantines. There's going to be one or two out there, and say that they really are should be quarantined.
Yeah.
There's going to be some American Liberty people that are just going to.
Oh, yeah, go
they're
berserk.
not going to do it. They're just going to.
No, now the judge did rule, however, that she must continuing monitoring her health, coordinate her travel with public health officials, and notify authorities if any symptoms appear. But he did not want to grant the state's wish to quarantine her. Well, the quarantine, if it were in effect, is up.
It's done now.
And
But
now she said she's going to leave the state of Maine. She's upset.
I think the neighbors are upset.
Yeah, I mean, how would she feel, God forbid, if she infected someone and they went to the hospital sick with Ebola? Well, what would her defense be? Well, it shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Yeah,
Not my
I
fault.
mean, that's pretty selfish. Pretty selfish.
You know, of course, being an old retired guy like myself, I thought, well, you want to quarantine me 21 days?
Ah,
Pay me. As long as I'm getting paid, my TV works, and you bring in some steaks and a case of beer, I'm all set.
what could be better?
We'd love it.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, there's another one too that she vows to leave Maine if they restrict her movements. Well, I have another one for you, sir. And this one here, the SEAL who fired the fatal shot at bin Laden is going public.
I saw some of his interviews.
Yeah. What do you make of all of this, Dwayne?
Well, as far as where I see it, he had a good point. The fuss they were making over it. If this was a general or some other political leader making this, they'd have fall all over him. They'd write books, everything else. But because he's down on the pay scale, they're all over him.
What I'm concerned about is his concern was that there were certain congressmen that it was an open secret that he is the one that fired the
Yep.
shots that killed bin Laden. He named congressmen who knew about this. There were newspaper reporters that had his name, and they just identified him as shooter.
Yep.
What I'm concerned about is this kind of stuff is kept secret for a reason.
Usually is.
We have clandestine operations
Yep.
from time to time that don't need to see the light of day.
No, some don't really. For
Right,
long
a
time.
lot of them don't. But I don't think this one should have come out to the public. And I blame also the other guy that wrote the book about it, too. But anyway, he's, I guess, going to be on TV tonight
Is
with
he? Okay.
part 2 of his
Yeah, I saw
interview.
the initial interview, and
Yeah.
there really wasn't anything drastically revealed. It's just what happened in the operation. Who killed bin Laden? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Now, the one that killed Saddam Hussein. Now, he's never told the story or
No.
written the story. But now, help me with something. When I talked to the Army about Army intelligence, they explained to me there was a 10-10 law that you cannot talk about anything that you did for 10 years, or else you could be brought back in the service, court-martialed, and get 10 years in Leavenworth.
On the books there is,
Yeah.
but even the 10 it's ridiculous because when I left, I was a counterintelligence agent, and they said, you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. Well, to me, it's been 50 years ago now. And some of it's come out, some of it, nobody cares. Some of it's so trivial now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But should it be your decision to talk about it, though? Or is there something you don't know that's being kept secret for a reason?
Well, there could be, but a lot of times what it is to avoid losing face or
Yeah.
embarrassment.
Yeah.
For example, why are the Kennedy files, JFK, still being hidden.
The Kennedy family wants it that
They
way.
want it that way.
Yeah.
There's something there that they don't want anybody
That's
to see. So
exactly
it's-
right. And now, by now, it's probably so bloody trivial
Oh, yeah.
that anybody that looks at it would laugh
Yep.
and say, this was kept secret this length
Yeah,
of time
if it
because
was,
of
if it was
that?
something like womanizing, over the years, this has come out so many times
I mean,
already.
holy
that
cow.
There's no sense
Absolutely.
in burying it.
That's well, I don't know whether you read the book "Killing Kennedy"
Yeah, I did.
by Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly's
but
book.
there's a whole chapter on his
That's right.
womanizing in there, and they named name after name after name after name of public people
Right.
that he womanized with.
His episodes in the pool in the White House. Oh, jeepers.
I wonder if anybody ever swam in that,
I
or they
don't
just went in
know.
there for recreation. I don't know. Anyway, I tell you, I don't go for this kind of stuff. Guys talking about stuff that should be kept secret. Many drivers ignore texting danger.
Oh, boy.
Now,
You got to get to a point where, particularly my wife and I don't agree on some of this stuff. So
43% of the texting drivers said they want to stay connected to friends, family, and work.
Okay.
Nearly a third did it out of habit. 28% said they were worried about missing out on something important if they don't check their phones right away. More than a quarter believe their driving, this is great, their driving performance is not affected by texting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And just as many people said they believe that others expect them to respond to texts right away.
That's part of the philosophy or
Yep.
the environment that we've created with texting.
That they're the center of the universe.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
It all rotates around them.
Some of these people can't even go to bed at night. They put their phone by their in case
Yeah.
they get a text during the night.
There are people that get up
Yeah.
in the
And
middle of
move
the
and
night
check 'em.
to go check the stupid thing.
Yep.
Just 6% answered that they are addicted to texting, although 14% admitted they are anxious if they do not respond to a text right away. 17% feel a sense of satisfaction when they can read or respond to a text message. Have we gone insane in this country?
Yes, we have. Almost every one of those is trivial.
Yeah,
There's not one on there that
Yeah.
can't be changed.
of course.
It's because I don't want to.
That's exactly right.
Now, is it a real problem with us? I think it is, but apparently we don't think it is.
No.
The judges and the law enforcement doesn't think it is. You know why? What's the penalty?
Yeah. Well, the penalty in Massachusetts, I think, is what, $200 fine?
If that,
But you got to prove it. And boy, I'll tell you,
go ahead.
unless a police officer can look in the car and see
the
the
going,
nothing
yeah.
being punched up, then the people are going to argue, yeah, I had it in my hand, but I was just nervous, I don't know, but I wasn't texting with it, I just had it in my hand. Well, you know what? They're going to walk every time.
Here's where Monica and I, my wife, disagree. My philosophy has always been, if you think you got a problem, and it's a serious problem, make the penalty serious enough so it's not done.
Yeah.
Why not a 5 years loose leaving your driver's license, a $100,000 fine?
Well,
who's going to do it then?
Well, nobody is then. But I was just going to say
That's
the
just the idea.
200. Yeah,
$200
But
ain't
that
gonna
could be up to 500, and with a
500, 10,000.
with a 30-day suspension for the first time you do it. After that, then you ramp it up. But
I don't know what the drivers' laws are in this state because I didn't grow up here.
I think it's $200.
No, I mean even for when you were under the junior drivers.
Yeah.
The state I grew up in, or the state we lived in, if you were what's called here they call a junior driver, you so much as got 5 miles over the speed limit, it's a year. You lost your license
Yeah.
for 6 months to a
Yeah.
year, just like that.
And by the way, folks, for the truth in advertising aspect of this, Dwayne is from Wisconsin.
Correct.
That's the state that had these draconian measures.
Yeah, they did. So we lived in Ohio, different places too.
You
They
know-
also had the same They weren't real liberal like you were here.
Do you know that the kids have to pass a pretty rigorous written test now to get their learner's permit or whatever, junior license or whatever they call it now? Mine, I had to answer 4 questions.
4?
Yeah, and I did it while when we went out to the car. My dad was with me, and he sat in the back seat, and the registry state police officer sat in the front seat with me, and he said, well, now before we start up, blah, 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 and now here's another. Okay, he says, let's go. Start her up, drive down the street. I want you to parallel park. Okay. Now I want you to make a U-turn. Okay. All right, let's go back. And while we're going back, he's writing up my temporary license. That was it. Dwayne, if you compressed it all, it would have gone into about 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
But I believe that you can stop a problem like this if you make the punishments severe enough so
I
you
agree
get
with you.
somebody's attention.
No, I agree
If you
with
don't hit them upside the head with something, not figuratively,
Yeah.
just if you don't get their attention, nothing's going to change.
Well, you're right.
Look at the Singapore. Everybody says, "Oh my God, they got such draconian punishments," but they got it done.
Yeah. Sure.
People are not spitting on the street there. They're not
That's
throwing
right.
gum around.
That's right. They don't throw wrappers on the ground. Yeah.
That little punk that went over there and
Yeah.
keyed the car, and he got sentenced to what, caning?
Yeah,
He's
caning,
getting
what?
his butt caned to
Yeah,
hit 10, 12 times.
yeah.
Well, people, they went nuts.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you can't do that. All he did was scratch, did $10,000 worth of damage to these cars. They shouldn't do that.
You know, that drives me nuts. If you went into someone's house or something and stole $10,000 worth of jewelry, but you would face breaking and entering and theft and all that stuff, you'd probably do jail time. But if you go out and key a $75,000 Mercedes,
Yep.
and it costs them $12,000 to repaint it, well, you're just a boyish prank.
Look at how long we went with hacking and putting out computer viruses.
Oh, yeah.
Caused millions, if not sometimes $1 billion worth of damage to the industries.
Yeah.
What do they get? Don't go in there to a computer for 6 months.
Yeah.
That's all that happened to them.
Stay away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now they're finally giving them some jail term. These people should be in jail for 20 years or more.
No question. No question. Switching over to the election cycle,
Oh boy.
the winners were who?
Well, our friend Mr. Charlie. That's
Charlie Baker.
yep.
Yep. The Republican Party.
Yep.
Kelly Ayotte up in New Hampshire.
yeah.
You know, she's a very attractive candidate. There's already talk that she may be a vice presidential candidate. They think a lot of her up in New Hampshire. Chris Christie, big winner.
Yep, New Jersey.
He went around the country and he supported 18 people in his travels. 16 won, 2 lost.
Yep.
Mitch McConnell,
Yep.
big win for him. Not only did he win by a wide margin, but he was written off as this blundering old clown.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden,
Nobody gave him
he
any
is a
chance.
sage and savvy senator who knows all the ins and outs. And finally, the American people, they won.
Yep.
The losers, Scott Brown,
Yep.
Martha Coakley.
Yep.
In fact, I have this wish that maybe they can join hands and walk off into the sunset together. I don't see Scott being able to come back from that defeat. And I think Martha is probably going to have to punch that time card out for the last time.
Yeah, I think she's going to have to go to the
Yeah.
private sector here now.
Yep.
Yep.
President Obama.
Oh, he was a disaster for him.
Yep.
And it was a disaster for the candidates that he was supporting, or they thought
yeah.
it was.
Well,
supporting.
there was damn few that he was supporting.
they didn't
Nobody
want
wanted to support.
didn't want him to come near
No. The very sour Harry Reid.
Oh, that's another one. He and Pelosi. There's an editorial in the Globe
Yeah.
that they maybe it's time to go.
Head out.
And when the Globe writes an editorial like that,
Yeah.
you know it's time to go.
They're whistling "See you later" in
They
the
used to call
background.
that the dog track time. It's time to retire. Get out.
Bermuda shots
Yeah.
at the dog track. The Tea Party lost.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. I think they're detrimental to the
Absolutely.
to a conservative
Yep.
because they're ridiculous.
They're ridiculous. They're that way out fringe that no.
And everybody right of center gets judged by them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Mary Landrieu. Mary is going to be faced with that runoff in Louisiana, and the numbers down there are not working to her advantage. And she's probably been written off. Now, to show you how desperate Obama is, he's put out the news today, leaked it out through sources, that the Democrats are probably going to introduce the Keystone Pipeline bill themselves, put it on the fast track and pass it, because that will benefit Mary Landrieu. Because of it's going to bring all that stuff down to the refineries in Louisiana, which is her home base. But I think too little, too late.
That should have been 10 years ago. That should have been built.
Yep,
Now,
absolutely.
another guy. I know you got.
Yep, I got one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Michelle Nunn,
Okay.
who is Sam Nunn's daughter,
Yeah, I know she is.
in Georgia. And she was the second coming of Sam. She was the bright light for the Democrats in the South. Bright, articulate, young, new ideas, and all of that. They had her all counted as a win. She got pummeled, 53 to 45, by David Perdue, who was the cousin of the former governor down there, Governor Perdue. So that was a big loss.
There was another win in my old home state for governor.
Oh, Scott Walker.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He
That's-
was. Oh my God.
What's it, 4 times in 3 years he's
Yeah,
been?
he
3 times in 4
He
years.
survived a recall
Yep,
just before this.
yep.
They were
One,
just gonna throw him
survived
out.
a recall, and now won again.
Yep.
3 times in 4 years.
And the big hoopla was the public service, particularly with the teacher group.
Yep.
They wanted to pay 5% of their health employees or health costs. 5%? What are they thinking of?
I don't know, why didn't they go for the whole McGiller and just say, I
don't
want
know.
pay it all?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's taken some stands out there. Boy,
Yes.
people of Wisconsin have supported him,
Yep. Oh yeah, we were there last August.
much to the chagrin.
These big signs in the yard. They were like 10 by 10 signs. We stand with Scott Walker.
Oh, that's great. That's great. The next thing I have, oh, I hate to do this, but on October 24th, the Globe called Charlie Baker ahead by 9 points, 45 to 36. Is there any reason in the world why we should ever look at a Globe poll ever again?
I never believed him to start with.
No.
I don't think you did either.
Nope. But they got all the questions right. But down here, I tell you, I just laughed like hell about this. Now, the big thing with Martha Coakley was she cares about people like me. In this iteration, they have Baker at 34% and Coakley at 33%.
That's first of all, that premise is nonsense.
It is, of course. It is, of course. Will ensure that we have high quality, affordable health care. She wins that 38 to 32, but he's got a background in health care.
That again, that's
That's
craziness.
nonsense. Will create jobs and improve the economy 50 to 26. Will manage the state government effectively 52 to 27. What I was amazed by in these 4 is don't know 12%, don't know 15%, don't know 11%, don't know 12%. I mean, who are they calling, the brain dead?
But does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. But I'll tell you, the founding fathers were adamant about an informed electorate. Look at this. Look at these numbers. Give me a break. Well,
I'm surprised the numbers that don't know numbers are not even higher. They probably really are.
they really are.
Yeah.
I'll bet you they are
But they,
because
they don't want to say it. They just pick one or the other.
that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, exactly. Now, I have one thing. You'll have to bear with me on
Sure.
this one. Challenges and headaches will greet the new governor.
They always do.
I went crazy when I read this. Now, you know, there are challenges and there are headaches that Charlie Baker has got to face.
Absolutely.
God only knows. We just had 8 years of chaos. I mean, now these are reporters. They went out and worked on this. And each reporter brought back a point of view. Here's one. Make public transit reliable to ease traffic nightmares.
There's no traffic nightmares. We just went through Big Dig.
Can,
22 to 24 billion dollars.
Big
There's
leak.
no. There's not going to be any traffic nightmares.
but drives me nuts. But anyway, I'll go on to the next one.
Okay.
To fix DCF, find leaders who will hire caring workers. You could be brain dead and write that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
I mean, unbelievable. Here's another one. I like this one. Bring more jobs with better pay to help urban families.
That's nice.
You know, and they actually wrote words with this
Oh,
nonsense,
I know.
this pablum.
You see some of these once in a while candidates say, "Well, I want a chicken in every pot. I want everybody to have a free apartment. I want a free home. I want
Yeah.
free this. And I'm going to lower the taxes."
Yeah.
Well, where are you going to pay for this? I don't know.
For charter schools, dropping statewide cap can lead to rise in opportunity for underserved servants. I think that's something you and I need to talk about sometime, the charter schools.
Oh yeah, I got to.
Yeah.
There's very few things I don't have an opinion on.
Casinos. Keep the gaming industry from holding jobs hostage to get state tax breaks and bailouts.
I didn't understand that.
Nope. And finally, make growth for small businesses easier by cutting away choking thicket of rules. Well, that's probably the most articulately written one
That
of
actually
the
makes a
whole
little
bunch.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frustrations over regulations. Kenneth Mandiel, owner of a 50-employee machine shop in Oxford, recently undertook a $2 million expansion. The hardest part? State regulations made a nightmare. Here's a few unexpected costs. $8,000 to comply with state rules requiring installation of a bidirectional amplifier system to ensure firefighters will get a good radio signal in the event of a fire. The original estimate was $40,000 to do that. $25,000 to repave the parking lot to state environmental standards requiring proper stormwater drainage. That may be a good thing. $17,000 to construct a bridge over a dry brook to comply with state health laws requiring access to a leach field. Now, if you got a dry brook, do you really need to put a bridge over it to walk across to get to the leach field? Or you just walk across the dry land that used to have
If
water
you
in
went
it?
through the rules and regulations of permitting,
It wouldn't
what-
be enough to make you cry.
you couldn't comprehend it.
Nope. Unbelievable. And I just have one more little thing I think here on that I feel like slamming the globe on. But redemption, redemption, redemption. I don't get it. Here's 3 Martha Coakley stories, all centered around the theme that she received some redemption in losing again. And here is Yvonne Abraham, redemption even in loss. Here were two well-matched opponents. They fought hard and well. The voters of Massachusetts got a great, if bruising, campaign. Nobody choked.
Well.
To suggest otherwise is to deny both candidates the credit they deserve. And she was very nearly the state's next governor.
Well,
Here's another one.
uh,
A comeback story that fell just short. Coakley's drive erased tarnish from the 10 defeat. Martha Coakley, this is Joan Vanocchi, that was Nestor Ramos. Joan tends to be a little edgy.
oh yes.
Gets political redemption. And it just basically says, Coakley said, for every woman who didn't get the job she wanted or ran a race and lost, she said, I say go back at it. Throw your hat back in the room, back in the ring. To anyone who is truly paying attention, those aren't the words of a quitter. Not in the words of Joan Vanocchi. Now, I don't know what redemption she got, but help me.
Well,
In a state where we have Democrats outnumbering Republicans between 3 and 4 to 1, how in the hell did she manage to lose?
good point. But you know what those articles are? You can think of a globe, but now think of a 4-letter word that begins with S. And it's not what you're thinking. It's called spin.
Spin, yeah.
That's what they are
Yeah.
experts at, is spinning.
Yeah, it really, it is. And you're absolutely right. And to try to make this something
Oh
more
yeah,
palatable than it is,
they spin.
yeah. My last line here. Even Suzanne Bump got reelected. I mean, she's just a career hack, you know. But I don't know. Anyway, so now, do you have anything in your package of goodies you'd like to
No,
rant
this-
about?
Rant?
Otherwise, I'll just keep ranting.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Oh, this is
Here is just a one-liner. Coming features. The President of the United States' single biggest failing is the failure to have a continuing and honest dialogue with the U.S. on racial relations. No demagogues or haters allowed. Normal people only. He hasn't done it, so maybe it's up to you and I to do it, Dwayne.
I don't know. That's a subject that there is no sanity.
No.
There is no middle ground. You either got one side going crazy this way, another side going.
Yep.
Just like today, I think it was today, the St. Louis area is getting ready.
Oh, yeah.
Getting ready for the decision on the grand jury whether
Yep.
that they're going to prosecute the
Yep.
policeman there.
Yep.
And what town is that? I forgot the.
Well, not Foster, but a name like Foster.
How quick we forget.
Scott
Here.
or something.
And they're already warning. You know, if this doesn't go somebody's way,
Then
something's really going to happen here.
they are going to
Yep.
have a
Not what the rule of law says. It's what we want it to be.
That's exactly right, and we're going to have the riots again. In
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you know you've got the Al Sharptons of the world, the
that's-
Jesse
yep.
Jacksons of the world out there waiting for that
Mm-hmm.
result to be revealed, and you know what? They won't be happy either way.
No.
They won't be happy
no,
either
no.
way at all. Because their mantra is, you know, we can't be happy as long as people are not getting their rights and all. Listen, there's an awful lot of things that we did wrong as far as race relations
Absolutely.
are concerned. Starting with slavery and going forward, and we need to talk about that. But boy, oh boy, we cannot go out of our minds. I mean, a police officer shoots a bad actor. Well, you know, somehow or other we think that police officers should be able to look at the bad actor that has a gun in his hand and say, well, he's not going to shoot. He's just bluffing.
Just bluffing.
Or,
I'll talk him out of it.
yeah. Or that may be just an air pistol. I'll be able to talk him
I'll
down
talk him
from
out of it.
this. And, you know, he's got to have a brilliant mind. He's got to have the strength of Superman. He's got to have the wisdom of Solomon. And he's got to be able to make instantaneous decisions.
That's right.
There is nobody like that.
Yep.
Well, anyway.
There was one here that it was a few weeks ago. I am a thing about parental responsibility with kids. Inflatable was closed when Tots went in, one of these bouncy houses,
Oh, yeah.
and I guess they had sealed the door or something, and these two little kids tried in, and the wind took it. These kids are 2 and 3 years old. Who lets their kids go to one of these places and just run amok? Just run. Go on. We'll go. We're going to go have lunch or something. You two just go. Play.
Parents
2 and
in
3
name
years
only.
old. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? The guy that owns that inflatable thing is going to be sued
He's hung.
9 ways to Sunday.
Yep.
Unbelievable. No, I agree. You know what? I've got a clipping at home, and I got it in another folder. When we have to play Here Comes the Judge some night.
Oh, gee, yeah.
But there was up towards Douglas or up that way, there was a development of new homes. Upton, Jeepers Creepers, I'm not sure. But it's one of those good, nice towns up that way.
Yep.
And these kids broke into one of the houses, or maybe they didn't even have to break into it. Maybe it was just open while it was being constructed. They went upstairs, and they sat on the floor up there and smoked marijuana. Well, then one kid decided that, well, they should burn these 2 houses down. So they burned them down. The kid was 19 years old.
Yep.
A couple of the others were 17.
Yep.
And they were caught. Both houses, I guess, were total loss. And they were these $600,000 or $700,000 homes. So you're talking damage in excess of $1 million easily. Now, I'm ready for the punchline. The neighbor lady. I know those kids. This is terrible. They're only kids.
Oh, we heard that in the state for so long.
19 years old. Only kids.
Only kids, yep.
Yeah. Only kids smoking marijuana and then decide to do something stupid. But
right.
they were only kids. Now, you know, they're going to be involved with the juvenile law and, this is going to be terrible. Why the hell did they do it?
That's right.
Ah.
But how many years in this state did we hear this? We used to be, remember when we were the car theft capital of the world?
Oh, yeah.
Or the United States anyway. Car theft was a misdemeanor.
Absolutely.
You can't punish little Johnny for stealing that Cadillac or whatever he stole. He just probably was just going to take it out for a joyride. Why should he have a criminal record just because he stole that car?
Why did you leave the keys in it,
Yeah.
you bozo?
Oh, he got into it and he knew how to hotwire it. He's just a child. He's just a boy.
A kid. He's having fun. He took it for a
Joyride,
joyride.
that's all.
$3,000 worth of damage.
Yeah.
So what?
Or-
You got insurance, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was another.
And then the insurance rate goes up the
Sure.
next year. Johnny's parents going to pay that? Oh,
No,
I don't think so.
Well, we went years and years and years, would not do anything about that. Other states, every other state was grand theft auto,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
a major felony, not here.
Now with the locking ignitions and all that stuff, there's not as much car theft anymore.
No, there's not. It just makes it more
is-
difficult.
And we worked our way through it. Casino settles suit over skimpy uniforms.
Oh boy, I did see that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
40 women employed at an Atlantic City casino have resolved their discrimination lawsuit over skimpy uniforms. They were short black dresses with deep open backs. Older servers said they were told they had to audition for their jobs in the new costumes. And the auditions, they said, consisted of their being photographed in awkward poses that emphasized body fat by an outside modeling agency. What the heck goes on at these casinos anyway?
I hate to tell you, I can't tell you. Let's see. No, first of all, I just thought when I saw that, I thought, first of all, I'm thinking, in today's litigious society, what the hell is the casino thinking about?
Yeah.
Doing that. You know, they don't do that anymore. It's you put out 2 or 3 uniforms. There's A, you want A, you want B, or you want C. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's whichever one fits your lifestyle, and leave it alone because it doesn't make any difference in the bottom line. People are not going to come in there and gamble or not gamble simply because of what the cocktail waitresses are wearing. Mm-hmm. Those days that ship has sailed a long time ago.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't say that it's not a plus.
Yeah. Well,
anyways, but-
I've often had the argument with people that, well, that's exploiting women. Well, wait a minute now. If a woman can type 100 words a minute, where the other applicant can only type 30 words a minute, or if she's a very, very skilled computer operator, well, she's cashing in on her talents, isn't she?
Of course she is.
If she's a really understands library science and makes a wonderful librarian, if she passes at the top of the police exam and goes on the police force, but how about if some girl, her gift was her physical charm and her beauty,
Yep.
and she goes to one of these places that she knows will hire her, and that she'll make a lot of money in tips because she's a cutie pie. Now, isn't that taking care of your natural gifts?
It is, but I'll take my statement one further. I'll modify it
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people, a lot of places in our country today, or in fact everywhere, that does exactly what they're doing. One of them real close here, right up Route 1. It's called Gillette Stadium. Take a look at those cheerleaders.
I do.
Well,
I do.
everybody does. There's a certain profile that they use for those cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Dallas cheerleaders. They were world famous for this.
All the cheerleaders in all of it.
Ever been to a Hooters?
I have. I have. The food there is very good.
Yes, it is.
Fine.
I happen to like their wings.
Well, I'm sure the wives will have a couple of words for us when we get home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing we haven't been called
No.
before.
Right. Benefit, Maine.
Yep.
18-year-old sets a fire that kills 2 people.
Oh my, that's tragedy.
That's murder.
Yeah, that is. That's
And they're as dead as if they were shot. And if he's not charged with murder, something is drastically wrong.
That's right.
Too often, arson is treated, as a different crime than murder or, jeepers.
on that same line, and I'm sorry I'm not up to it. You may recognize what I'm trying to come to. There was a arson fire a few years ago around here, I think in Boston. I think the guy threw a firebomb into a stairway. He was mad at something. And it burned up, and it burned the people out upstairs.
Yeah, 2 or 3 people died upstairs,
and the defense is that,
He didn't mean to do it.
no, well, the arson science is not
Perfect.
perfect. You can't tell that he really did that.
Yeah. You also don't know what his mindset was
Yeah.
at the time. Was it deliberate? Was it premeditated? We don't know.
Well, he was mad at somebody there.
I mean, give me a break. By the way, I got a This is real science now.
I'm sure we're qualified.
A little fortune out of one of those crackers at a Chinese
Oh, yeah,
restaurant.
okay.
Be smart, be intelligent, and be informed.
Actually, that's good advice.
It is. In fact, that's what I wish every single voter in this country was.
Dream on.
Yeah, dear Iman is right. Hey, tell me something. What is the president on about when he says that he heard the people had voted, but he's more interested in the 2/3 of the people who didn't vote? He claims to hear them. If Joe Sixpack said this, that he's hearing from the 2/3 that didn't vote, he'd be doing 20 days down at Bridgewater and
yeah.
they'd be looking at his squash.
Yeah, that's just
I mean,
idiocy again. That's
really? I mean, where the devil is his mind? Anyway, now we have a case here up in Webster of a truck driver who killed a fellow by the name of guy's name. Oh, Jeremy Page, 24.
Yep.
And he kept right on trucking, didn't stop. And he was arrested he pled guilty to leaving the scene after striking a pedestrian who later died. He received a 1-year suspended sentence, 2.5 years probation, was ordered to pay $6,400 restitution and perform 200 hours of community service, but not 1 minute of jail time for leaving the scene of a fatal accident. That judge should be forced to reveal his thinking in writing for no jail time. But you know, and you and I have talked about this many times, the judges are just beyond reproach here.
They have no accountability.
No, and this guy should be called out on this.
Yeah, because if there's extenuating circumstances, it should be brought out there's extenuating
Exactly.
Because if a big truck, it's possible to hit somebody back in those
not
rear wheels. You don't even know it.
Nope.
You won't have no indication
And
at all.
also, is it possible too that Jeremy Page had high alcohol content?
We don't know that.
We
See,
don't
again,
know.
again,
He
it's
veered
not-
out
Yep.
into it, you know. But hey, tell us, you know. It's well. The governor race coming down to likability. This John Nucci that writes for the Herald is a former governor's counselor. I'll tell you, now he's a college professor. I don't understand this at all. But he's saying, comes down to likability. Which one you like the best? Comes down to, and I think a majority of the people, it came down to competency. Massachusetts is a $40 billion business. Who do you want to run it? Who's the most qualified to run it? A proven businessman, a top-flight manager, or a career lawyer, politician who's never held a real job in the private sector in their life?
Yep.
And you know what? I tip my cap to the people of this state. They saw through a lot of the fog, and they said, look, this is the way we got to go. You know, if you inherited something from your family out in Wisconsin, you inherited the Wisconsin Iron Works,
Yeah, all right.
and we're a company that employed 500 or 600 people and was doing 50 or 60 million dollars a year.
Today I'd like to inherit a sand farm out there, what they're doing.
Yeah.
with that.
Oh, yeah.
With
Well,
that
maybe the sand farm.
oil drilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you? I mean, between these two people, would be any doubt in your mind who you'd hire?
No, we don't.
No, and that's what it came down to here in the state. I really and truly believe that maybe, just maybe, the people got it right this time
There is a
for
certain,
the right reason.
There's a certain indication here in likability.
Yes.
You take two candidates. One is very photogenic, smooth talker, and just a debonair type, and the other one's just the opposite.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a certain amount of vote that's going to vote for
Absolutely.
photogenic.
Look at Ronald Reagan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The not only competent and courageous, but likable. Just a regular guy.
Yep. Or even sometimes you get the Hollywood look.
Yeah.
the JFK look.
Yeah.
I mean, the women just they didn't care what his policies were. They voted because he was pretty.
That's why I've never run for public office.
Well, me neither. We'd win hands down, Bill.
I'm going to save this next one because it's going to, well, you know what? I like this one here. Up in Oxford,
We talking Maine?
yeah, Oxford, Mass.
Oh, Mass. Okay.
Yeah, there's a, I think it's American, the Legion Post.
Okay.
And there's a lady bartender up there. And this fellow came in and was having a beer with her. And this fellow's wife came in
Oh, I did see something.
and
about
assaulted the bartender
Yep.
and pulled her false teeth out
that. Pull their false teeth out, right?
and put them in her pocket. And when the cops finally came to get it all straightened out, she said, oh, they must have flown out of her mouth into the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, she assaulted the bartender with a bottle because she told her, that's my husband, you leave him alone.
You know the American Legion places. I have a Legion meeting tonight. But you know, I've never seen the bartender there. We meet at the Federated Church.
Bucky runs a
Yeah.
real tight ship. You know, I think we'll have to well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, let's hold off and talk a little bit about the fact that we're going to have to wind it up, folks. Our time's expired. And before we wish you a good evening, let me bring you up to date on a couple of matters. First, some of our viewers, in fact, all 5 of them, have asked about when we're going to have some guests on. So here's the lineup.
Which viewer what didn't care? I thought we had 6.
She's sick.
6. Okay.
First of all, we're going to have Sergeant Robert Shannon from the Norfolk Police Department. We're going to have house painter extraordinaire Peter Hildebrand, town administrator Jack Hathaway, selectman Jim Lehan, and state representative Sean Dooley. Secondly, along with the credits at the end of the show tonight is an email address for your comments. Please notice and abide by the guidelines. And the guidelines will be posted. They're very simple. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just general comments, effusive praise, and positive input. Thursdays, complaints. Fridays, bribes. Now, if you have a business in town and you want us to mention it on the show, it's going to cost you. So we'll talk about that on Fridays. You can send us any proposals you might have.
That Friday rule.
Yeah.
Bribes. We'll repeat that one.
That's right. And Saturday, we'll reserve that for death threats.
Okay.
We don't want any death threats on any other day. Sunday is our day of rest. So no emails, please.
Be nice.
That's right. So on that note, I think we've covered a great deal here tonight. And we'll look forward to the next one. The next one we're going to record is with Bob Shannon.
Yes, it is.
On
It's coming next week.
November 20th.
Yep.
And I've seen Bobby's outline of what he wants to talk about, and we've developed an outline we want to talk about. I think it's going to be a darn good show.
There'll be a second shot with Dan.
Yeah.
Or Bob. We tried 1 week ago.
Truth in advertising, folks. We had Bob here last week, and 5 minutes into the show, he was in uniform,
Beeper
working.
went off, and that was-
5 minutes into the show, there was a serious accident, and he had to leave. So we've rescheduled it for the 20th, but we're looking forward to that, and to all our other guests. So I think on that note, we'll wish you all a very pleasant good evening.
Good night.
Good night now.